Hi everyone, we're doing a Halloween special. We're going to be talking about the truth about witchcraft, okay? It's a different take than maybe what you've heard in the past, and we're going to be narrowing in on the 1692 witch hunt, if you will, of the Salem witch trials, which is in Salem Village, which is actually now called Danvers. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to be delving in off the deep end. And then we're going to channel spirit, okay, because that's what I do. So we're going to be channeling spirit and just seeing if there's anything that would like to be added. And also we're going to be talking a little bit about the silencing of so many in years past and how that pertains to the story of the witchcraft that took place in 1692, the silencing of freedom of speech, right? And how that relates to, the silencing of, people today. As we're going to discuss this topic, this is the most fascinating thing that I learned about this time period in 1692, many years ago. And when I watched it, it made total sense to me because I said to myself, okay, we went from complete normalcy, if you will, to complete mayhem and lunacy, in a sense, of blaming a ton of people. Where's the missing piece here? Were people taking drugs or drinking a lot, or were they extremely biblical and they just went and believed anything that was put to them? That's what I would often think. But I've got something different for you. This actually comes from an actual study from a student from Santa Barbara, California, okay, in the 1970s. Linda Caparel was asked to choose a topic for her term paper. When researching the written material from an author during these days, she read the word hallucinations of the villagers of Salem Village at the time. She had heard about a person from Paris, France, who had suffered from hallucinations due to ergot, fungus poisoning. So she kind of put two and two together. She thought, well, this was something that was actually featured in Paris, France. This happened to a person. They had hallucinations. They had all these other symptoms and side effects from ergot, which is a fungal poisoning, okay? And she thought, well, maybe this happened in Salem Village in Massachusetts back in 1692. So what did she do for her paper? Ergot is a fungus that affects, that comes through rye, and rye bread is what they primarily ate back then. Most commonly used in the past centuries to bake bread than it is today. So most of us aren't eating rye bread, whereas back then that's mainly what they ate. Contracting ergoting is what they call it from the rye bread can cause hallucinations, the hands turn black, the skin to be irritated, throwing up, and psychosis. Now, I'm sure not everybody's hands are turning black, and I'm sure not everybody was throwing up, and I'm sure not everybody was having psychosis. But if you do get a fungal poisoning from your rye bread, you may have some mild psychosis or hallucinations. And if you guys have ever met someone who has had psychosis, it can also come from excessive marijuana. Smoking a lot of marijuana can cause psychosis. Other types of chronic intake of drugs can cause psychosis. It comes with hallucinations, and it is something that you kind of have to, from what I've heard from others, get through. Once you've stopped whatever is causing the psychosis, it can last for 2 weeks, it can last for a month, and for some people, it's still going. It hasn't stopped, okay? All right, there had been cases of mass hysteria in certain locations in medieval times due to ergot in the past. Ergot fungus needs warm, damp weather to grow, and these conditions were the case in Salem in 1691. Most of the villagers making accusations lived on the west side of the village where the rye was wet and marshy, making a perfect breeding ground for the fungus. Although the following summer was much drier and the fits of madness and accusations dropped off during this time of witchcraft. Isn't that fascinating? So where it was marshy and wet on the west side of the village, where most of the complaints were coming from, came from the location where ergot was running amok. So if you have people eating something and it's causing psychosis, hallucinations, maybe throwing up, you're not going to know what it is. Or at that point, we might even look at the Reverend Samuel Parris, a Puritan minister in Salem Village, Massachusetts, who is credited with starting the Salem witch trials. Okay, so either many had been having psychosis episodes, and or we have a strong position to advance in one's position as a pastor, and maybe a little bit of sprinkling of ego put in there, and off you go. When I researched him, he had a piece of land where he had crops growing in Barbados, I believe it was, and he had slaves, and it wasn't doing so good. So he wasn't generating a whole lot of money. And so he basically said, oh, what am I going to do? Because I don't have the money coming in. So he went on to be a pastor. And so he was new to the town. The town had rejected the last 4 pastors before him. And even as he went along, the town decided to stop paying him. So what he did was he claimed that this section of land just outside the town was now going to be his. And that could be in lieu of payment of what they hadn't paid him thus far to be the pastor. So it kind of adds up that we might have ergot fungal poisoning causing psychosis, along with a pastor that's attempting to advance himself and to kind of achieve or get what he needs to get. So how does this tie into the history of witchcraft and silencing so many in years past? And how does it relate to silencing people today? So this is where I'm going to channel some guidance. And I'm going to see, yeah. So it's going to be my female guardian angel, Agnes. She's right here on my right. And I'm just going to channel her guidance for us to give thought to about this topic. The first thing she's doing is saying, thank goodness we live in this day of age, especially for the women, the females on earth. Because in many other stages in life, many other years gone past, women were not as safe as they are now. There are pockets of women in different locations worldwide where they are suffering and they have less rights than cattle. However, there are larger pockets on earth where women are looked after, taken care of, listened to, able to voice themselves. And then she gives this look of applauding and happiness. And everybody in the spirit world is very happy about that. And I know they are, because they told me before. But she's also saying the same. A belief is only believed if you can convince the masses that it's true. Instead of believing the words that come out of one's mouth, simply look to their actions. Simply look to what they have accomplished thus far. Look at the actions rather than the words. Really important to do that and investigate that, because many will tell you what they think that you want to hear versus what is true. And we're going to see a great divide, a diversiveness as we move forward. And it's very, very important that we voice ourselves, that we speak up for ourselves, that we do not back down no matter what. And the other part that I'm getting here, she's telling me that, like in England right now, they're putting people in prison for a post or voicing themselves. And that's, she's telling me that will be, there will be a stop put to that. Okay, so they're going to put a stop to that, and those people will be released. And it's going to be coming soon. Some countries impose themselves, those leaders of those countries impose themselves in order to enforce good behavior. No one's done that with the UK as of yet. Sanctions or voicing themselves to let everyone know that this is wrong. So more leaders need to step forward from other countries and impress and impose that this behavior is not good and it's not right. It is the reason why we are here on earth in this free will zone, is to voice ourselves, is to be free to stretch our legs, be free to express how we feel within a safe manner. Please do not believe everything that is being fed to you. It's important that you do your own research and find out what the truth is, and follow and look at the actions, the behaviors, rather than the words. She's just telling me it takes a lot of courage to stand up and even possibly go against the grain or go against what others believe. But if you know in your heart and you've done your research and you feel that this is the right path, then, well, number one, she's saying that you're a vibrational match to that frequency of those people or whatever is being discussed or whatever path they are walking upon. And secondly, it will resonate with you. It will resonate to be true because that is the frequency in which you are emitting. Therefore, you attract it to you. But what she's asking us to do is to do our own research and to have a look at individuals' actions rather than their words. And just let everybody know that if you guys feel like joining in, I'm going to be offering a class for $29 November 17th, and it's going to be the forest people, and we're going to be talking about Sasquatches and Bigfoot, okay? And I know that, as you guys have likely seen with hypnotherapy type programs on YouTube, many of us have had lifetimes as a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. So that'll be really fascinating to narrow that down. If that's something that you've been thinking about or dreaming of, or you have a pull or, you feel like you want to learn more about, this class is an hour long. And we're going to be answering a whole lot of questions, and we're going to be talking about this topic, and I'm going to be channeling spirit as to what are they doing here and what is their purpose here. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Bye.